You good? We got beautiful weather out there today. So Richard asked me to speak. No topic. Gazibin. So that's scary. I had to choose a topic. And then also as a sales guy, I've got 5 to 7 minutes. That's a scary thing as well. And then even scarier than that, I chose to talk on integrity as a salesman. So y'all watch out. Don't stay too close to me tonight. But I got to think in the last couple of weeks as he asked me and trying to think about things, and I was listening to something the other day and the word integrity came about. And you get to think about integrity sometimes. So as my feeble brain often does, I go to the definition of the word integrity to try to determine what exactly it says as a true definition. It's the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. And then you look into honesty, and what is honesty? It's free of deceit and untruthfulness. And then strong moral principles, there's a whole list of them if you look and Google that word, because everybody's got different standards. It's, fairness or equality. Within the Bible, it talks about the obedience to the will of God. The word integrity, you don't hear it a lot anymore in society. It's kind of an old-fashioned term, right? Like the word is my bond. If I said that, people are like, man, you are old. But there is integrity in everything that we do. Between integrity in our speech, integrity in our actions. And I thought it was interesting as I was listening to something that was talking about in the Psalms 15, 1 through 4. The Bible talks about integrity in a way that I hadn't really paid attention to much. And it says, Lord, who may dwell in your sacred tent, who may live on your holy mountain, the one whose walk is blameless, who does what is righteous, who speaks the truth from their heart, whose tongue utters no slander, who does no wrong to a neighbor and casts no slur on others, who despises a vile person but honors those who fear the Lord. And here's the part that struck me, who keeps an oath even when it hurts and does not change their mind. So you get to thinking about that particular part. It says, what does it mean to keep an oath or your word even when it hurts, to your own detriment? There was a story that I came across. Y'all may know this. I didn't know. A guy named Monty Roberts. I'm just going to read this to you. I obviously didn't write this, but a guy named Monty Roberts. He grew up around horses in California. His father was a horse trainer, and Monty was riding before he learned to walk. This was during the heyday of the Western movies, and as a child, Monty rode horses in movies, often as a stunt double for child actors. He later got into rodeos and horse shows and earned a reputation as a great horseman. Roberts always dreamed of being a horse trainer himself, and with a wife and a couple of kids to support, he figured it was time to get serious, so he went into the business. In spite of his reputation as a great rider, Roberts was a very inexperienced trainer and had trouble getting clients. He only had 4 horses to train, which wasn't bringing in nearly enough money to support his family. Roberts wasn't sure that he was going to do when an opportunity was presented to work as an apprentice with Don Dodge, one of the most well-known and well-respected trainers in the area. He was told to bring 2 of his horses with him. After 10 weeks, the apprenticeship ended, and Roberts met with Dodge. One of the horses he had brought with him was named Panama Buck. Dodge told Roberts that when he got home, he should call up the horse's owner, Lawson Williams, and tell him that he was wasting his money having Roberts train the horse because the horse was never going to amount to anything. Roberts was understandably reluctant to do this, as that would eliminate a quarter of his already meager income. When he asked Dodge why he should do this, Dodge responded that the most important thing he could do was always tell the owners the truth about their horses. And if he did this, he would soon get more than enough business to replace the loss. Roberts went home and did as instructed, but Williams didn't take the news well. He responded by berating Williams and screaming, "You useless son of a gun. You wouldn't know a good horse if it leapt between you. That's the last horse you ever get from me." Several days later, Roberts' phone rang, a voice on the other end said, "Hello, Mrs. Gray. Hello, Mr. Gray here, Joe Gray. I was having lunch with Mr. Williams yesterday. He was complaining about you, but from what I heard, you must be the only honest trainer I've ever heard of." Well, I know that Panama Buck horse of his wasn't any good, and I just want to take a flyer on you. I have this horse I want to send to you. It's called My Blue Heaven. From that point on, things started to turn around for Roberts. He gained a reputation as not only a great trainer, but an honest one. And soon he had more than enough horses to train. Eventually, he would even have the opportunity to train the horse for the Queen of England, and it all started with the following some wise advice from a mentor to always be honest, even when the price is high. And as I got to thinking about that, as it talks about the integrity, about keeping an oath even till it hurts, the man was truthful, and it was hurting him because he cut a quarter of his income at that time. But by doing so, it was the right thing to do. In Judges 11, there's a story about Jephthah. I think I'll say that y'all know me, I'm no Bible scholar, but so it appears that Jephthah was an outcast. But whenever Israel wanted to go to war and win a war, he was a mighty man of valor as a very strong presence in the military. So in Judges 11, verse 30 and 40, it says, "And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord, if you give the Ammonites into my hands, whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me when I return in triumph from the Ammonites will be the Lord's, and I will sacrifice it as a burning offering." Then Jephthah went over to fight the Ammonites, and the Lord gave them into his hands. He devastated 20 towns from Aor to the vicinity of Minnith, as far as Abel Carinaim. Thus Israel subdued Ammon. When Jephthah returned to his home in Mizpah, who should come out to meet him but his daughter, dancing to the sounds of timbrels? She was an only child, except for her and neither her son nor daughter. When he saw her, he tore his clothes and cried, "Oh no, not my daughter. You have brought me down, and I am devastated. But I have made a vow to the Lord that I cannot break." And she replied, "My father, you have given your word to the Lord. Do to me just as you have promised." And the story goes on to talk a little bit more. But you could see the integrity within that story. It's a devastating story. It's a very sad story, but your word is your bond, and his word was his bond. And I believe sometimes in society today, we don't think about maybe our words and how much they mean to people. We don't think sometimes about our text or our Facebook post or whatever social media the kids are on what that actually means. I don't know that we all think about what our commitments truly mean. Like, we say we're going to be there and we can't get there, then they'll just have to understand. But I believe the integrity is a trait that is often overlooked and is not discussed much, because it is ultimately a choice that you have to make every day to have it. And you have to be honest, and you have to do exactly the right thing. And there's a couple sayings that I try to live by. It is never wrong to do the right thing, right? I think sometimes we try to justify actions or be able to break commitments or be able to maybe keep your fingers crossed. As a kid, you used to cross your fingers, stick them behind your back like, "Oh, I'm just kidding." Like, you use some of that. But I believe being honest means that you never have to remember what you said either. Sometimes people forget the story they told before. But I think if you be honest and you have that integrity that people talk to you, you remember what you told them the next time they ask you, because it is the truth. And I believe also that regardless of the circumstances, your word is all that you have, just like your influence. So once that integrity is broken within us of not being a trustworthy person or not having the character of fairness and looking out for the equality of others, your light as a Christian therefore doesn't shine as bright any longer. So I believe if we speak the truth and be honest, try to hold on to the integrity and keep your character intact, that's the best way we can share the gospel with other people, through our actions, through our deeds. If we can help anybody in any way tonight, in any way that you need to get better, as we all do every day, please come forward as we stand and sing.